All right, we're live. And the audio is so good I can hear myself breathing. Sucking in air as the stream kicks off. How come I can't even find what? There we go. Wait a minute. What was that? Oh, new Dojo video. Is up. All right. Greetings, folks. How is everybody doing today? Alex Gustafson, what have you been up to today? Bless you. Ay, ay, ay. All right. Bit of work, bit of chess. Last day of school. Oh, that's pretty early. That's pretty early. We've got 2 more weeks out here. Let's see. I mean, there was a special day at my kids' school today as well, though. They were doing like some little song and dance and performances, showing some of the work they'd done over the course of the year. So it does have a bit of that end of the year feel. You know. So get this straight. Okay. Looks okay other than the sunlight being backlit on me here. How are you doing, Pizza Racer? You had just signed up for the training program a few days ago, right? Do you have any feedback yet? Have you been able to figure out how to pick out a task to work on? La, da, da, da. My favorite food, man with head of dog? Whew. Today I would say sundubu, which is this Korean stew made of tofu and fire. Red pepper, probably. I wouldn't give you the same answer every day. But that's definitely a top 10, and it's the one on my mind today. You've got one book and you started reading it. Perfectly fine. We're just waiting around for people, so I could give you a little tour briefly, maybe. Since we're just waiting for the tournament to start in 20 minutes, right? This is the part where I just yuck it up about nothing for a while. So we can make it a little bigger, maybe. Look around tiny bit. Okay, so this is like a chess dojo view. I feel like it'd be a little bit weird if I just weren't completely not on screen, so I'll just put myself over there for a little bit. All right. So, yeah, the main thing, the most important thing as somebody with the training plan is right here, right? Training plan. And ideally you are in your own, you have your own cohort here. It'll be selected by default, but in theory, you could go look at somebody else's training plan using this tab here. You can see any training plan. They're all open to you. Then there's 3 main views here. You can see the full training plan, which is how I usually do it, right? Which is every single task of mine is in this area right here. Screen share looks okay, right? So there's welcome stuff, games and analysis. This is like stuff to get you oriented, right? It's not real tasks. It's just getting you oriented, right? There's a hand waving. Hi, welcome. These are the real buckets of work. Games and analysis, tactics, middle games and strategy. And this also includes chess culture, though we didn't want the name to be too long. But random chess culture stuff goes in here, to the extent that there is some. End games, openings, and then, of course, the not important non-dojo. 0 out of 2 complete. Does that mean I have some that I'm supposed to complete? No. Okay. So that's the full training plan view, which is what I use, and then I'll just pop things open and go looking for them. But I know pretty much what I probably know what every single task is, so I kind of know what I'm looking for and where to find it. Some different views are the daily view, which is just going to give you one thing to do. It's going to give you 1 day's worth of work. So it's going to be based on your work goal, which you can set here. You set how much time you want to spend on each day in terms of hours and minutes, right? And based on how much time you put, you just type in how much time you want. Based on how much time you put, it's going to give you tasks. So here you can see my page is very short, right? So not very confusing, right? Not a lot of options. It's going to give you a minimum of 30 minutes per task, because we think doing something for 7 minutes or 12 minutes is not particularly useful, right? So it's going to give you a minimum of 30 minutes per task, and then depending on how much time you put, it'll give you more or less tasks. If I put 30 minutes, it would only show me 1 task. That would be the minimum, right? If I put 3 hours, it would show me 3 tasks probably, and set 1 hour for each of those 3 tasks. So normally it'll show you here, almost all the time it'll show you between 1 and 3 tasks for a single day. So you're not too distracted and not too all over the place in a single day. It just tells you do this, and then you just work on them, right? So annotate a classical game, 30 minutes. I don't have to finish a game, I just have to work for 30 minutes. If I go and work on it, it'll sort of fill up this little circle here showing me if I've done it. Yeah, you don't have to train the same amount of time per day. See here, you can set how much time you want to spend on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, etc. And you choose what day your week starts on. You can start it on a Sunday, a Wednesday, whatever. And if that changes every single week, then you can go back and put in different numbers. But it won't be super useful for you if you have to change this every single day or every single week. You probably won't think of it or want to spend your time resetting it. But in theory, you can see it's about as easy as could be to set the time. The time only matters if you want it to just give you daily tasks. If you want to work from the full training plan, this full training plan doesn't care how much time you have. You just go pick tasks and work on them. You'll see above this part here, this is the full training plan, and above it, you'll see that there's something called pinned tasks. You probably have no pinned tasks right now. But pinned tasks is something where if you start working on something and you want to finish it and you don't want to have to go looking for it, or you don't want our algorithm to suggest something different for you. So under daily, you see it's divided my work among pinned tasks. It hasn't picked random tasks for me. It's picked tasks from the subset of tasks that I pinned. Because let's say one of the first things you're working on is simple chess, right? A lot of people, I'm one of them, would not want to read that book for 30 minutes today and then put it down for 2 months and work through 30 other tasks 30 minutes at a time for a month or 2 months until the algorithm again suggested that book. I would think once I'm reading that book, I want to read that book, pretty consistently for a couple weeks and finish it in one go. Maybe I want to do, 2 or 3 other things, but I want that book to come up repeatedly. So I would put, when I'm reading a book, I almost always put that book as one of my pinned tasks. So that's what pinned tasks are for. Right. Yeah, like a normal pace would be to read for 30 minutes in your book each day versus putting it down for several months. So if you put your book as a pinned task, then what would happen probably in a daily view is that it would give you, like every day, read your book for 30 minutes, and then it would give you something different down here that would rotate. You know, it might tell you to play a game or annotate a game or study some games played by Bot Vinnick or something like that. You know, it will give you a different task here. And a weekly view is kind of in between daily and full plan. It shows you, like, if you've total for the week put 6.5 hours, right? It'll give you a list of tasks adding up to 6.5 hours that it's going to split up for you over the course of the days. But let's say I were in the daily view and I saw annotate a classical game. That doesn't work for me today for whatever reason. You know, maybe I need a training partner to do it and I don't have one, or maybe I need my game scores and I left them at the chess club, or whatever it is. For some reason, there's a task that I can't do. It says do Polgar mates, but I did Polgar mates yesterday and I want to do them tomorrow and skip today, right? Whatever, I have a reason to not want to do one of these tasks, then the easiest way to pick a replacement task for some people will be not to go to the full training plan and search through that, but to go to the weekly plan, and that'll give you a manageable number of tasks, right? Like 6 or 7 tasks that you have for that week, and you can click on a different one that suits you today. And when you do that work today, then tomorrow it'll give you what you skipped today instead of giving you what it probably would have given you tomorrow. And it'll even it out over the course of the week so that you still complete that week's work, just in a different order in terms of days. So that is kind of the interface for the training program, right? These 3 tabs: the weekly, the full training plan, the daily. The weekly thing not only shows you the 6.5 hours of work for the week, but it has a second section below it where it shows you a draft of how it's planning to split it between the days. You know, so it has that part there. And that's the main thing. And then another very important interface to be able to use is the games part, because super important piece of our training program is to play games and then annotate the games and then maybe even share the games, ideally with some other people. So you look at some of their games, they look at some of yours, right? So you need to be able to bring your games in, and your games will be listed like this once you've put them in. But before you've put them in, you would have to go to analyze a game, and then you would put in a game. If it's a game you played online, you can input it with just a link to the chess.com or Lichess game. Otherwise, if it's a game where you've just got a game score with you, you go to starting position, you just put the game in. Or if you've already worked on the game somewhere and you've got a PGN of it, you can copy paste a PGN right here. So you pick whichever way is right, you input your game. Once you've got a game in here, if we click on a game of mine, this game's already annotated. But basically, once a game's in here, you can then put in your annotations, right? Comments, evaluations, etc. I could go here, put in comments, etc. This game's already kind of annotated. But maybe if I find one that's not annotated, you could see, I think I already annotated that one. Let's look for a game I haven't fully annotated in here. I've been annotating most of them. You'll see there's some games in there that are not my games. That's because I was annotating games in the opening. Sunday, May 25. Ugh, Thank you so much, Little Eagle. Let me go fix that right now. Edit. I never get anything right. It's kind of frustrating. All right. Thank you so much for helping me out there, Little Eagle. Yeah, so if I've got like a game here, you know, I could go in and make some comment, right? Like, the bishop won't be amazing on b2, but its influence can be felt through a knight outpost on e5. Plus, it will be great if black ever tries c5 or e5. And if black never plays either of those moves, what is black going to do? Right? So I put in that comment. It comes in here. And, yeah. There it is. Yeah. So I guess that's a bit of a start. A really cool thing you can do as well eventually is there's this files tab. And with the files, you can organize your games into folders. That will only become relevant once you've got more than one game up there. But at some point, it's very nice. I put opening analysis broken down by E4, D4, and also like model learning games in them. Here I've got my games that here's all my games go in here. Games, once I've annotated them, get copied into here as well. These are my best games for, you know, when I just want to feel good, right? I can click on one of these and click through it and think, oh man, what a genius. Ruining my own king position like that. Provoking this h6 move, but I never meant to trade. I just wanted to weaken the light squares on the king side further. Keeping the knight out of c4. Trading for the seemingly bad bishop. What's that about? Oh, rook c6. What a threat. Oh man, how's black going to defend this file? If they step away from the file, there's bishop c5 perhaps. At some point, white could trade and push d6 with check as well. Maybe black needs to try king h8. Here, bishop c5, they have queen g6 check, so I step out of the way, forcing it. Rook gets in through the file. Now we're just up a pawn and just waiting to win. All right, so anyway, we'll stop this little demonstration of how I like to sit at home and look at my own best games and get back to touring some other things on the site. But anyway, I think it's a very useful, very, very useful thing that you can organize your games into these folders here. I do have free time, Alex. Hit me with your question. Howdy, Lost Kid. How are you doing? Are you lost? Don't know what's going on? David's confusing you. Let's go back to our tournament. I think that was probably enough info for Pizza Racer for one middle of the night. Pizza Racer, what are you doing up right now? Isn't it something like 5 a.m. for you? I know it took me 15 minutes to notice that, but, you know, see the above comment about how I have no idea what's going on. At any time, I'm slow thinker. All right, move my video back. Anybody who's like, what's going on? Like Lost Kid, we're waiting for our tournament to start, basically. We've got a chess tournament in 9 minutes here. Well, it's not really a tournament. It's sort of like a single classical game. We have Friday night fights. It's a time to come in and play one really hard game against one really hard opponent. That's the idea. If I go to my club, Chess Dojo, And I look upcoming events, Friday night fights. Ooh, there's a lot. Friday night fights, Sunday. Okay, we'll wait for Sunday for that. Friday night fights, under 1,600. Let's see if we got some players. We do. We've already got 4 players waiting to start. That's enough that it will hold. Of course, anyone who wants to, come on down and join us to play. Oh, how interesting. You just retired and started to sleep badly. That's a weird coincidence. People in Twitch, you can also use these links here to find the tournaments. Let's see if 1,600 plus has some contestants. Oh, yeah, they do. They got some contestants, too. Even a master in the crew. And Zach on track has crossed 1,600 this week and moved from the under 1,600 section to the over 1,600 section. Congratulations, Zach. On track. 50 points gained this week. You don't know if you've ever played classical. Yeah, 30 minutes would not count as classical. So, I don't know. Will today be the first time you play a classical game, or will it be next week? We will find out. In any case, welcome to the dojo, Uncle Buck. We're glad you're here, and we look forward to spending some time with you. Even if you don't play tonight, you're very welcome to watch. I think easily half the people here just watch and don't play on any given day, right? Maybe even more. Young Elo is this upstart chess rapper who's been trying to dethrone me. Yeah, I've heard of them. Right. So everyone, you're totally welcome to watch. This isn't just a chance to play. It's also like a show, right? Like I do commentary on people's games. Absolutely, Apollotrosin. If you're playing today, setting up a real live board is a great way to get more enjoyment, more pleasure, and better practice out of the tournament. 90 plus 30 is played online. That's right, Lost Kid. How about fair play measures? The fair play measure is that people in the dojo don't cheat. That's the fair play measure. It's a total waste of time to cheat. Much more useful to play. We got a pretty good crew, Lost Kid. Obviously, somebody has cheated once or twice in the history of the dojo, you know, but not a lot. Not a lot. Oh, mon amour.
Nice. But I want to ask
C'est
you a
très
question.
beau, ta coupure. Ouais. La réponse c'est oui, tu peux. Qu'est-ce que tu penses? 2-3 morceaux? Moi, je dirais 2 ou 3. Ça dépend si ce sont des grands ou des petits. 90 plus 30 is a nice format for sure. And is my kid in the 1,600 plus bracket? No, he's just asking for a candy before bed. Classic kid move. Yeah, don't worry, folks, if we start off with an odd number. As Mouseslip is pointing out, we've got an odd number in the 1,600 plus right now. People come in throughout the evening, so if we have an odd number, there will be one person who doesn't get paired the moment the tournament kicks off. But, 3 minutes later, somebody will come bouncing through our chat and join, and you'll get a game, etc. Yeah. Anyway, we try and do like a useful show out of this every Friday as well, because commenting on the games of players rated 800 is a useful resource for other 800s to watch. Commenting on the games of players rated 1,500 is a useful resource for other 1,500s to watch. So I kind of go through a couple games. Each week I try and watch at least one game from the under 1,600 group and one game from the over 1,600 group. Some weeks I make it through 4 or 5 games. Other weeks I only make it through 2 games because they're just so epic and engrossing. Sometimes we get a game where the opening is interesting, and the middle game is like sharp, and there's chances back and forth, and somehow, even though it seems that all hell is breaking loose, it still settles into actually an end game eventually. Nobody gets fully knocked out. And sometimes we just get, a really, really riveting game, and then some other people don't get their games looked at, but it's okay because we get a good show out of it anyway. So, you hunted an IM, once drew him, once beat him. Ooh, so you're a pretty good chess player yourself. Or, I mean, by my standards. Everyone has their own standards of what a good chess player is. And it's basically whatever's a little bit better than them is what most people consider a good player. And so we do this every Friday. So anybody who's new, you can always do it next Friday or 3 Fridays from now. It's always starting at the same time, but it's a 24-hour period that the arena is open for people to come in and play a game if they want to. You can also play a game against a friend of yours instead, or a training partner instead of in the Friday night arena. Send me the link and I'll comment your game during Friday night fights. It still counts as a fight even if you're not in the arena. Sorry that we didn't cover your game last week. Name is taken. I don't think I have, Ash. Today, our show, by the way, will be much shorter than normal because will be very, very brief because I have to go pick up some relatives who are coming in at the airport from another country. So just have to properly welcome them after a long trip. So this is a special weekend for me where I've got my in-laws, family around. And what other announcement is... There's another announcement that's very important before people get started. For those of you who are playing, it is traditional to mute or close the stream during your game so you don't hear my comments while you're playing. Hey, what on earth? You can join whichever section you think is best for you, but I think if you're 1900, the under 1600 section is unlikely to be the best for you. Yeah. Saying that I might be doing a simul. I would enjoy doing a simul at some point. Sure. I haven't done one in a while. I want to practice my blindfold again. Yeah. The under 1600 section, by the way, folks, is 45 minutes plus 30, and the over 1600 is 90 plus 30. So they have some more time. Good luck to you, Mouse Slip. Enjoy your game. Good luck to all the fighters who are kicking off. Games start in, looks like 80 seconds, according to my interface here. So, we've got a FIDE Master gracing us with their presence today. Very nice, very nice. We are honored. Isf-sam, thank you for joining us. I hope someone will be able to give you a good game. Qu'est-ce que tu faut ça? Ça, c'était le tien. Tu veux ça dedans? C'est un peu vide là. Ok. Je pense que tu peux te le verser toi-même si tu veux, n'est-ce pas? All right, we are blessed with the presence of a FIDE Master. Lovely. And yeah, we're gonna kick off the games now. I'm gonna open the under 1600 section. I always start with the under 1600 section because their games... Well, I often start with like one of the lowest boards possible at the beginning because often, there would be some more decisive points to learn from in the opening. And then the higher rated players are playing a longer time control, and their games stay equal longer, and they may spend more time thinking. So I slowly move up the ranks in general on Friday night fights. Thanks, Pizza Racer. Glad to hear that. All right, let me click on some of these games. So we've got one game here. Right, Aphantasia. Yeah. Make sure to play a move in the first minute or so, folks, or chess.com will abort you, just like that happened just now. Here we go. This one's off. Oui? Oh, tu veux laisser ça pour moi? Merci pour le cadeau, mon amour. Tu vas aller te brosser les dents avant d'être cozy? Très bien. Saturday late morning fights are here once again, Far Eastern, and so are you. Greetings and welcome. Good to see you. I'm going to open up some more boards here. We got a bunch of fighters. Woo! Bunch of fighters. Oh, man, and these guys are fighting immediately. Do you see the degree of tension and combat achieved in just 3 moves on this board here between NB, Sabin, and Bishop? And Alex J. Gustafson, you then replied to your wife, well, what does it look like? What does it look like? Ah, Morozevich Iku. ¿Cómo estás? Bienvenido a ti. Morozevich de Ecuador. Oui, mon amour. Ah oui, le truc ne fonctionne pas bien. Tiens. Good eye, Sam. And welcome. So this game here probably started as a French defense, right? And then Black played a very early combative c5. Let's talk about this move for a moment. Let's talk about this c5 move for a moment. Did it indeed have a normal French move order? Yeah. Okay. So knight c3, c5. Initiating this crazy pressure. Now, in general, when Black plays moves this combative in the opening, and White has not wasted any time, these moves are going to be often mildly dubious. Because intense fighting is, I think, often the best chance for White to get something out of their extra move. So normally in this position, what you'll see Black do is they'll continue fighting over this pair of squares. White just brought the knight out, right, to fight over those pair of squares. Normally, Black will respond in kind with a developing move, fighting for those 2 squares. Either knight f6, attacking the same squares, or bishop to b4, kind of removing the knight from the equation, so to speak. Again, fighting for these squares. So this counterattack from Black, very, very aggressive. And my understanding is that the best approach from White is to trade here, so that Black will have an isolated pawn after these pawns trade, right? So you trade once to leave that pawn isolated. Then you play this check, looking to develop as fast as you can, and you'll have this extra rookie 1 move to bother Black. And this line, if played very precisely, can give White a small advantage. Okay, White plays a perfectly logical move, just developing another piece and defending the square that Black's attacking. Now let's see if Black, decides to make some trades or keeps building on pressure. Let's see what they did. They build on pressure with the knight c6 move. So here, bishop b5 should transpose to something very good for White. Bishop b5 immediately, I think, would that still be good? Yeah, that would still be good. I think either one should be pretty good for White. White goes for bishop b5. Black plays bishop d7. Now it's maybe very important to make this trade. Is White thinking here? This opening is so combative, I would actually recommend that the players spend a couple minutes on at least one of their moves. Right now, they're spending about 30 seconds on each move, which is kind of the 30-second increment, which is why you see them with about the exact amount of time that they started with, right? 45 minutes. So I think, with this much at stake and such a combative position, if they don't know it by heart, which I don't think they do, better than thinking 30 seconds on each move would be to spend 2 or 3 minutes on at least one move and kind of figure out, like, what's going on, what's the strength or weakness of what my opponent's doing, should I be responding aggressively, defensively, do I need to hurry up my development or try and capture something in the center, you know what I mean? And yeah, Pizza Racer saying they could spend more than 5 minutes easily on one of these moves. Yeah, if you were playing like if you had a 15 or 1600 player here with 90 minutes on the clock, they might even spend 10 minutes on one of their moves, or let's say 6 to 10 minutes on a move here could make sense. When you're in the 1000 to 1100 range, it's harder to predict your opponent's moves. Like, you're a little less predictable and they're a little less predictable. So generally, you don't want to invest tons and tons of time on a move in terms of like guessing, well, I go here, they go here, I go there, they go there, because it's not going to happen exactly like that. But a couple minutes to orient yourself to what's the story one time in the opening makes a lot of sense, right? To understand, okay, this pawn here is going to be like a target. Black hasn't moved these pieces yet, so they're potentially a little slow to castle. Just getting a couple of those ideas in is useful for you to do, even if the game doesn't follow a specific variation. Okay, white chose to castle, which is reasonable, but honestly, if black makes these kind of pawn trades, white won't be able to make use of rook e1, which is why I'm pretty sure it would be stronger to trade and then castle. If they do this, check, this, takes, for example, the bishop can't recapture because of this. You're threatening to win another pawn on d5 with your knight. And this would be an example where, oh, white's really harnessing that extra move of being white to kind of annoy black and, so to speak, win the fight that's happening in the center over those 3 squares and the pawns that are on them, which means at this point, white's likely to come out of the opening with an extra pawn. And honestly, black's going to have to play well to not be down 2 pawns. Because it could easily get even worse than that. Okay, so let's see how black responds to white castling. I think some trade like this should avoid the absolute worst of the situation, but we'll see what black chooses. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Ok. Moi, je suis dans un programme en ce moment. Je sais pas. Hey, Sweet Bell Pepper. I don't know. VTT wonders, are white and black calculating these trades or not, right? Because it can take a lot of time. And honestly, it's very rare to see players at this level leave this kind of tension, because the tension normally drives them crazy. And even players who are 1600 to 2000, this kind of tension drives them crazy. But they've started to learn, like, oh, I'm supposed to leave the tension sometimes, but they're very uncomfortable. Why are they uncomfortable? Because they can't calculate all the consequences of all the trades. It creates too many branching variations too soon, right? So it's very uncomfortable to have a bunch of tension for, most players in chess, realistically. And certainly at this rating level, rare to see them leaving that tension. Are they not trying to calculate? I imagine they're trying to calculate a tiny bit, but not too much, right? Because we see they're spending 30 seconds, now a minute, now maybe it'll be 2 minutes on a move. So they're ramping up their calculations, but in 30 seconds, they could only have gone so far at first, right? I don't think that's true, Viral Sigma. Yeah, I don't think that's true. Often it's very good to keep ramping up the pressure when there's pawn tension. I mean, because look, if you take here, it improves white's knight. There's actually a principle in chess that you normally don't want to capture because recaptures put your opponent's pieces on good squares. Of course, there's exceptions to that, but normally trades are things you'd be a bit leery of because it brings your opponent's pieces to better squares when they recapture. Is chess fun or is it more of a mental struggle? And the question, and this is a poll to ask everybody. I like the poll, Dabo. Thank you. Is chess fun or more a mental? It doesn't let you use a lot of characters, so I've kind of abbreviated a little bit. To some extent, there are a couple books like that, Pizza Racer, yeah. But now that you're in the training program, you should just stick with whatever book the training program gives you for a bit, you know? Just see how it all works for you. So as I was saying about how recaptures often improve pieces, because often it's a bit of a concession to trade and a bit of an advantage to recapture, I actually think that capturing is not that often the best move, and instead what you often see is people ratcheting up the pressure, trying to create the threat of capturing in a way that forces your opponent to concede and capture themselves, and then you get to recapture. I think. At least that's how I've generally, in my career, tried to handle pawn tension in the center. So whether or not that's like an accepted preference or theory, that is how I have often tried to play. One second. Let me deal with one tiny thing here. Okay. Feeling good right now. Feeling good. Knight b4. So props to black, first of all, for thinking 5 minutes on a move. That is lovely. Now, the move has a very low chance of being correct because it's moving this piece a second time when black is really far from being able to castle. Surely, black's best move was one of four things: trading one of these two pawns or developing one of these two pieces. There's almost zero chance that black's best move was moving one of these two pieces again, the only pieces that have been moved, right? Maybe knight d4? Maybe knight d4. That's a version of trading this pawn, right? But knight b4 is not going to work out. White plays rook e1. White is a master of just leaving all that tension. Wow. Bishop e7. Takes, takes, takes. And here black's thinking because they've got an extra choice here. They don't have to mechanically recapture. Yeah. So black's checking if that's an opportunity. I really didn't want to eat a cookie today. I was just really trying to avoid it, but my son left me his milk here, so I just put away some food that was left over from my dinner that I saw laying around, and I have to drink this milk. So let's make the best of it. This cookie's not good either. I wish I could send it to you. The real point is I just want to drink the milk. Oh, this cookie's terrible. I think I'm going to compost it and just drink the milk without a cookie. Ugh. Ugh. Well, at least now I don't taste the cookie. And as Alex said, I have just demonstrated how you defeat a sunk cost fallacy. I'm better off throwing away that cookie than eating it. Even if I bought it, even if I bit into it, even if I've got milk sitting around, there's just nothing to be gained from eating that cookie. I've got an alert on my phone for Friday Night Fights. Yep, I'm aware. I don't have ice cream. There's ice cream somewhere here in the house, Dabo. I'm avoiding that as well today. Bishop takes b5. Fancy move from the bishop. White retreats the knight, hitting a tempo, and black's got to be careful. I think white wants to play this move next, probably working on the file. White could have recovered the bishop pair like this. For those who know about this idea, having two bishops can be slightly better than having a bishop and a knight. So when white retreats, you'll see black's got two bishops, right? If white took here, it would remove black's bishop pair, but it would bring black's knight out of g8, right? So you're making this trade, and they're recapturing with an undeveloped piece. Oh my god. I love recapturing with an undeveloped piece. That is far tastier than a cookie. Oh, man. That's like the dream. Or playing, recapturing A takes B3 or H takes G3 in the opening and developing a rook. Oh, my God. The things you rarely get to enjoy anymore once you're at a master level because your opponents just won't serve them up for you. But, man, oh, man. If I could have that feeling of recapturing with an undeveloped piece, that would be living. Okay, queen b6, defending the bishop, developing the queen. Maybe thinking about queenside castling, which would put a rook opposite white's queen on this tension on the pawn. Actually, if white played a lame move here, castles queenside from black could be quite annoying. Yeah. So advice to white, don't play a lame move. Now, that's easier said than done. What would be a good move and what would be a lame move here? I'm not sure. even this move d5, which at first blush is really appealing to me, if black castles queenside, that might also make d5 look slightly lame. Knight e5 is interesting. Black probably plays bishop e8, and then I'm still not 100% sure what we do. Maybe somehow knight c4. Maybe a4, a5 here could be good. Just grabbing some tempi, and it's almost like developing this rook, basically. Right? a4, bishop e8, a5, queen c7. a4 pops into your mind too, Stamen? Yeah, this is like pseudo-development of the rook, right? But then what do we do? Still need more good moves. Chess is like that. You find one good move and it's not enough. You need more good moves. I'm not sure what I would do next here. D5 got played, by the way, in the game. Wow. And black played rook d8. NB Saban's rushing the pieces out now. Doesn't want black to have time to play knight f6 and just castle contently. Looking to create some pressure, but I don't see easy ways out of this rook controlling the pawn, controlling the queen. The only way we really hurt the black king is by playing pawn takes pawn, and I don't see where we put the queen to threaten pawn takes pawn. I don't know. Black plays knight f6 anyway here. Wow. Whew. This game was definitely hot from the very beginning. If white moves the queen off this file, maybe black can take with the knight. If white trades here first and then moves the queen, so there's no knight on f6, and this pawn's already under pressure, black can trade here and then take with the rook. Maybe there's a tactic here. c4, queen f4. And then you want to do this again, right? I see, that's what you're up to. So I should go somewhere safe with my bishop now that I figured out your plan. And now I'm out of the way of the second c4, and queen b8 is covered by rook d8. Okay. Well, good I learned that idea. c4 takes queen here, trying to re-c4 the opponent a second time. It's clever. But not clever enough to crush black as white goes for bishop f6. So let's see what they have in mind. Yeah, bishop f6, I like that. From bishop 10, 186. I heard this song live Wednesday night, and it's been in my head ever since. and I'm sure nobody's ever heard of it because I found the song on Spotify, and the dude has 19 monthly listeners. But this song is just in my head. I'm like thinking about it all the time since then. So I'm going to send it to you guys on Twitch and YouTube. If anybody wants to check it out, you'll be like the 20th person to listen to it. This guy came down to the club where I go on Wednesdays to listen to and practice rapping. And this song is not a rap song. And he sang this song, and his singing is so good. It was even way better live than on his recording. But it was just completely incredible and mesmerizing, his singing. So Chess Lover suggests maybe there's 94. Part of the idea of 94 is that this doesn't yet work for black. Check, here, boom, right? So we could play 94, and 94 might have ideas of trying to play c4 or d6 or knight f6. So it might get us out of our problems on this file, right? Creative move, and that's exactly what white needs, because black wants to castle scot-free, maybe trade the knight, then win this pawn. So white needs something kind of creative and annoying while black's king is in the middle. I don't see anything yet, but Chess Lover's right to be trying to suggest something. So knight e4. And the most basic move for black would be to take this. But let's say that looks kind of bad, right? If I save this piece, then the next piece should... It doesn't seem like we should be able to play this as black. But I guess the weird idea would be rook d5 traps white's queen, which is pretty disturbing. That's really disturbing. I mean, yes, we could play knight d2 to not get our queen trapped, but that feels like the move of a loser. Oh, we can play knight f6 even without a bishop on f6. You can tell how much chess I've been calculating today. It took me a couple of minutes to notice that you can play knight f6 into the thin air, and it works just as well. After bishop f6, queen d5, white's going to be slightly better. Not much. Black just has to castle. Queen b3. Bishop c6. And the game goes on, something like this. I don't know exactly. So knight e4, interesting. Now, let's say black plays bishop e7. Blocking the e file and getting out of the way of knight takes bishop. d6 still just sacks our pawn. Black's got too many defenders there. So what's our follow-up? We'd like it to be c4, so we try c4. Bishop takes. Hit him with the double attack. Double defense. And I resign. c4. Bishop c4. What do I do? What do I do? Oh. Well, here's where I'm stuck, Chess Lover. After this little bishop e7 retreat, we just got the move knight e5, by the way. After this little bishop retreat, I wouldn't see the next move to really follow up on knight e4. Let's have a look at the move played in the game, and if anyone sees something clever for white after knight e4, bishop e7, chime in and we'll discuss it. Knight e5 played. What does white want to do? What's their dream? Well, I mean, I don't see a real threat from white. Maybe it's stopping black from playing bishop c3 and then being able to take the pawn. Maybe it's just blocking that. But long term, if black castles, this pawn is in so much trouble. Man, it's crazy how hard this queen b6 move was to deal with, right? What an idea from black. Queen b6, clearing the way for the rook to just mess with this pawn. Black's castled. Odds on black ever castling? Good timing, John. Good timing. I'd say it just hit 100%. Went from about 85% to 100% right there on that move. Okay, Viral Sigma's got a really cool idea. It's also really crazy, but it's really cool. So let's say we wasted a move for black. Could white maybe play pawn takes pawn, sacking the queen, right? And on a rook takes queen, you play pawn takes pawn, check. With the idea of, bringing this rook and then maybe like the knight if the black king went to this square. It doesn't quite work out with this bishop covering this diagonal, right? But it's a cool idea. That'll stop any knight d7 checks to win the queen if black puts the king like this. Rook takes. You probably trade this knight off before any other damage happens and then get rid of the pawn and clean up from there. So, yeah, what happens if we trade this off first? I don't know which way black would take back. We're just going to try the queen sack for fun again. Now, for now on knight d7, there's rook d7, so we got to take here. And now knight d7 is a big threat, but bishop f6. Bishop f6 takes e5. Rook takes e5, king f7. And black cruises. So knight e5 castles. What did white do? a4. Going after these pieces. Clever. Clever. Yeah, definitely ask some questions of black. Where are you going with that? Let's check this flight. Okay, it left on time. It's arriving on time. So it's time for me to hit the road. I didn't see it twice as love. I don't know anything about it. All right, folks. So for anybody who's new to Friday Night Fights, the regulars can tell you I normally do a real show. Today is an exception, so don't hold it against us or not come back next time. But yeah, I'm going to take off to pick up at the airport. So I wish you all a great day or night, depending where you are and all. And continued good luck to our contestants. Let's share the links, at least for the YouTube folks, again, so they can join if they want to play a game themselves. Here's the link. YouTube folks, here's a link for our Twitch friends. And then one final announcement. We've got our normal weekend rapid tournaments at the typical Sunday time of 9:30 a.m. Pacific, noon 30 Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central Europe, or 18:30 Central European time on Sunday. All right. Cheers, everybody. I would also gladly do this all night, John. And normally we get a good long session here with these games. We see White anchoring the knight, forcing these pieces, and B. Saban's coming with really interesting moves. I would have loved to keep going on this game, honestly. You're loving the dojo. Great. Glad to hear it. Very nice, CMCK. Well, Pizza Racer, I lived a whole year in France, and I grew up in a French school. So yeah, I know the 24 hours time situation. Let's raid this Matt Henningsen, who's been suggested to us by our friend Charlie. Matt Henningsen. All right. Raid Matt Henningsen. Matt Henningsen. Okay, hopefully I got that right. Cheers, everybody.